Hello everyone, welcome back to the Forge. Today I'm going to be doing my shop tour 2017 of my shop. It was a viewer request. Hopefully you guys will like it and get a little something from it. If you haven't seen the other video that I previously shot, my humble beginnings, just check that out real quick. Kind of gives you a bit of a scope about the size. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'll show you some of my tools. Thank you for watching today. Here we are. My big, glorious shop. Oh, well, it's big to me anyhow. And glorious to me. Oh. As I mentioned in my previous video, my original shop was only a 6x10 shed. And this here is a 12x20 building that I'm super proud to have. It used to house my tractor, which I no longer do any farming anymore. And I just do blacksmithing full time. So now it holds all my tools, as you can see. So we'll take you around to just a few tools of the shop, and hope you guys enjoy this journey. Here we are at my first piece of tooling that I have in my shop here. It's a hydraulic press that I designed and kind of built myself. I guess I can't really take credit for designing it. I call it designing mainly because I kind of hillbilly rigged it up. The first one that I had built was a C-frame style. I built it out of way too thin of materials. Had no clue what I was doing of hydraulics whatsoever. And so I kept scabbing together pieces until I got to having a pretty much halfway safe machine that I could actually use. I definitely suggest you guys, if you go and undertake making a hydraulic press, that you consume as much info on them as you can before undergoing the process. But it's been a fine machine for me. I do forging of all sorts, and it's got a pretty quick ram speed. Easy on-off switch, just like that. This one happens to be a 35-ton press. So that's pretty much it. Not much else to say about that. We'll move on to the next piece of equipment that I have. So this is the next item sitting right next to my hydraulic press. It's a Central Machinery. It came from Harbor Freight. It's a 12-speed production drill press, they call it. I wouldn't call it production. I would call any of Harbor Freight's tools production oriented tools or professional. I've had this in the shop now just a little over a year, and it's running pretty good. There's a few things that's gotten loose on it, and I've had to, put some Loctite on it and things like that, a few screws here and there. But for the most part, it allows me to take and do a lot larger borings and drilling 1-inch holes through some pretty thick stock, which helps in my power hammer builds and my other tooling builds that I haven't released yet, but they'll be up soon. Anyways, works really good. It's got 12 different speeds to it. Can't really say a whole lot about it. If you get a drill press, get an XY axis vise. They're just super handy. Way super handy. I've used a solid vise in drill presses before. Not as handy as an XY. You can lock something in and drill multiple holes without having to take the piece out and re-put the piece back in. As far as production mindset, that's very handy. So we'll move on from here to the next item in order and in question. I'll show you my welding table. Okay, so this is about as close as I could get to my messy welding table to show you it. Essentially, I've got a place here that I keep all my tooling, my clamps and stuff that I clamp things down to the table. I left an overhanging lip to make that easier to clamp pieces for plasma cutting to it with vise grips and whatnot. And then they just go back on underneath the table. A few other things. I got a stick welding pouch here that when I am doing stick welding at the table, I'll fill that with stick welding rods. Place for my extra welding gloves. And essentially it's a catch-all. It's a catch-all in the shop. This is where I dump everything before it either goes into the trash can or back where it belongs. Not much you can do about that. in a shop, especially when you get busy, any flat, clean surface is bound to take and be a flat, dirty surface before long. So I usually clean it about every 3 or 4 months, clean off all my junk and get rid of things, and it feels real good for about a day or two until it's dirtied again. So just to give you an idea on that. Underneath, I've got a place where I keep my plasma cutter, and I've got a Hobart MIG welder that I use daily. I've also got a stick welder, just an old Buzz box that I got off of my landlord. Cutting and grinding media and things like that I put along the back side there. And pretty much just in a small shop like this, you got to find a place to stow just about anything. And I can't say that I'm overly organized, but hey, I know where everything's at. So we'll move on to my next tool. Okay, so here we are at my bench grinder. This bench grinder I built myself. It's served me for about a year now. I used to use just mainly angle grinders and like an actual like a bench. This being a belt grinder, I may have accidentally called it a bench grinder. I apologize for that. This saves a lot. If you don't have a good belt grinder, it's definitely worth in any work that you're doing. I don't care if you're doing knife work or if you're doing ornamental work. Man, they make a real slick job of things. So they're highly recommended. Whether you build one yourself or you buy one from a reputable manufacturer, they're a great tool, great asset to have in the shop. Just a few things, it's got on-off switches for lights I can put on it. Here's the on-off switch for this. I don't have it plugged in for demo purposes. As you can see, my hands are awful close to it. Won't want to accidentally bump something. It takes 2x72 belts, and it has a 3 horsepower, 240 volt electric motor from Harbor Freight on it. Pretty cheap electric motor. And I mean, they got the greatest warranties around. You just take them back and they don't even fight you on the warranty. So they just, they'll take the motor back if something's wrong with it, and, you get yourself another motor. That's why I shot with there. Ball door would be recommended, in my opinion. I have a buffer that is a ball door buffer, and man, the thing's a workhorse. So if I had to build it over again, I would throw in the extra chunk of change and get a ball door motor. Pretty simple system. You just pull down on here, remove your belts, put your new belts on. This whole part out of building this, the trickiest portion of this was the tracking wheel up here. That was the trickiest part to get right. And I can't say that I intelligently got it right or designed it right. I kind of just kept trying something else and trying something different until I found something that worked. That's it for a belt grinder. You've all seen belt grinders before, so we'll move on to the next. Alright, my next item here. This here is a coal forge that my wife bought for me, surprisingly enough, at a garage sale. She picked it up for 150 bucks. There's a long-winded story that I won't go into that goes with this forge here. I have had this forge now for 9 years, and it's lasted really well. Eventually I'm going to have to put a new body on it. I hate to do so just because it's the original body with the actual blower and forge and stuff. But I'll have to end up redoing this metalwork. It's getting kind of rusty, and a little bit of rusted out. Not much else to say about coal forges. You've seen one, you've seen them all. Standard hand crank blower. I actually prefer a hand crank blower over an electric blower. I know there's a lot of guys who would argue with me on that. But when it comes to welding or getting precise heat control, I love my hand cranked blower. There's so many advantages to it. I could do a whole video just on it itself. But I probably won't, because that would just be a boring video. And I would probably lose a whole bunch of subscribers that way. So, I care about you guys, so I'll spare you. But anyways, that's it for the forge. I use it every day, or almost every day. I have been prone to get kind of lazy and go use my gas forge. I'll show you that next. There's just a lot of things that a gas forge is just simply not good for. Like localized heat being the biggest one of them. And in other videos, when I show you how to make some different tooling and stuff, you'll see why that is important, to have good localized heats. So I'm not a one-all, beat-all type guy. I don't believe in tooling needs to be, well, you either have this or you have this. Some guys, you can't get a coal forge or a coke forge. Not allowed. Your local codes won't allow it or whatever. And so therefore you got to put up with gas and work around it. I personally, if you can afford to, have both in the shop. Each one has its own specialness and it has its own capabilities that the other one lacks. So we'll go over the gas forge and I'll show you that. This here's my 3-burner gas forge. I'm not sure the manufacturer of this forge, as I picked this up secondhand from a guy at Quad State. A guy that I knew. I actually did a demonstration, or I was a co-demonstrator with a guy by the name of Peter Bruner at Quad State. It's up in Troy, Ohio at the Miami County Fairgrounds. You can Google it or research it. It's a pretty great event, great blacksmithing meet. Well, anyways, now that we actually demonstrated in it, and we were doing a big park bench, essentially, is what our demo was. And I fell in love with the forge just for its capabilities of how well you can run stock all the way through it. You can make use of closing in the ends. You can brick it in and just use the side outlet here, or you can brick all the side open and have just this area here open to be insulated. And it also has control of all 3 burners separate. I sold off some other gas forges, so this way I could afford this gas forge. And it's been a match made in heaven ever since. It is a forced air blower gas forge. It is not a Venturi effect gas forge, or an atmospheric forge. Welded up a stand for it to sit on. The stand is semi-portable, once again, so I can roll it to somewhere different in the shop if I needed to for big work. But most of anything that I need it for, I can have it planted right here. Mainly I put wheels on everything to just make it convenient so I can clean or, move stuff around if I need to. But pretty much it. We'll move on to my next and possibly my most favorite piece of equipment. Alright, well, this is my anvil that I use in my shop daily. I had to get rid of a few other anvils to get this anvil and be able to afford it. I am blessed to be able to have gotten this anvil and for the price that I did. This anvil here is a 465-pound North German style anvil. It's got obviously the dual horns, the round horn on the other side of it there, and then the nice upset block. It doesn't have the side shelf. I know a lot of guys like those. I kind of find the side shelf annoying myself, so I don't use it a whole lot. But I got it mounted to a stand, so this is 465 pounds. And the stand that I built, which I'm actually going to be doing a video, or if you're watching this in the future, I have probably already done the video of how to build your own anvil stand. I will try to put a link, I will try to put that at the end in the credits, a link to that video if you want to know how to build a very sturdy steel stand. It's a tri-legged design, and it has, this particular one actually weighs about 325 pounds is how much my stand actually weighs. And I got that weight because I weighed it. So it is one heavy stand, and together it provides quite a bit of rebound and kinetic energy, which I'm super happy about. It's got quite a bit of rebound for a hammer, for an anvil, and no ring. And that's the nature of the stand. This thing actually rings like a bell. If you take this off and just set it on the concrete and hit it, it rings something fierce. But the way I construct my stands, it kills all that ring. So I'll put all that information in that video. But it has extra places for all my tools that I use regularly. Everything from steak anvils that I make, you know, planishing stakes, things of that nature, hardy holes, whatnot. This is pretty much my tooling rack, right on the anvil. I find it real handy. That way I don't have to go look for another tool. These are tools I use all the time, and they're right here. All I gotta do is reach down, pick them up, put them on the anvil. Saves a lot of time. Anyways, I say it's my favorite. I call her Olga, and I've just been in love with her, and you know, since I found her on eBay essentially, and then had to drive all the way to Georgia to get her. Anyways, big beautiful anvil. Can't say enough about that. And now I'll move on to another treasured piece of equipment, and probably the last piece of equipment I'll show in the shop, is my main shop power hammer that I built for myself. Alright, this is my main shop power hammer that I use all the time. I built this shortly after I had built the cam hammer, or the original Da Vinci cam hammer design. And then I did the revisited version just shortly after that. And I worked with those for a little bit, and I decided, well, I would like to have something guided. I would like something that I can maybe do some tooling under. So I got to designing. I found a bunch of stuff I had in my scrap pile. I had to go buy some larger stock to do the ram and the anvil with. But that was about it, and I just kind of started piecing it together from there, just out of necessity of needing a power hammer to take some of the stress off of me. I had a couple jobs where I had to draw out some stainless steel, and it was 1 1/8" stainless, and I had to make some really long tapers and leaves and form vines and things out of it, which was if you've ever worked stainless steel by hand, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a big pain in the butt. Anyways, so that's how I kind of got started on this and decided to make this thing. It's been all kind of hobbed and cobbed together a little bit. But I will be having some plans, some blacksmith plans for this, some actual downloadable PDFs at a much later date. I'm still having them drafted right now for anybody who has interest. Some of the advantages of this being a mechanical helved hammer is several things. One, since it is a guided helve, it keeps the stroke right in line. As where a regular helve hammer, it can come down, and depending on where you're at in that stroke, it's hitting your material at an angle. As where this always keeps it and a straight up and down and hitting your material squarely. It uses some pretty handy features like a tractor top link here to have the adjustability so you can work whatever size stock you want with top tooling and things. And then you can just lock that thing in. It uses my cam design that I've designed here. And elite spring, obviously, as you've seen in Appalachian style hammers. And it works pretty good. Works with an electric motor and a slip belt clutch. So, as you can see, works pretty good, darn good. I'll do some videos later on when I get ready to release those plans and stuff of doing a couple different projects underneath it. I mainly shoot videos at the anvil, and I don't use a lot of power tools and equipment to try to keep in mind, kind of structure my projects around you guys out there that don't have power hammers yet. I create the power hammer design specifically for you guys, so hopefully you guys can say, hey, I have a power hammer too, and be able to be more efficient and get some other things done. Don't have to have so much runtime on your bodies. But this thing's been a big help in the shop. Really increases productivity. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this shop tour of 2017 here. And like I said, this was viewer requested to do a shop tour of my shop. So I hope you like it, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thank you all. God bless.